Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
And I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today we are discussing the sad passing of James Earl Jones, who passed away on September 9th, 2024. And we wanted to discuss his life and legacy.
To find you, girl, you selling my clothes, my ring, my silver brushes.
Give me another chance, baby. I misses you awful.
Just don't come on with me, girl. Your Willie's in jail. You just smelling gravy here.
That's really nice of you, but that ball really is signed by Babe Ruth.
So is this one. With the rest of the 1927 Yankees. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
No, I am your father.
It was formative for our childhood because we were Star Wars fans back when Star Wars was actually good. And he most famously played the voice of Darth Vader. And he had a just amazing voice. And he did, probably he's best known for the voice.
That was probably what put him out on the scene, the film scene, really. He was very well known in like Broadway,
Stage
acting world.
Yes.
And that was his love, and that's what he loved to do. But Star Wars is just where it kind of threw him out there to outside of the stage world.
Yeah, there's tons to go through, but one of like the highlights, we're going to try to get through the highlights of his career. And one of the best ones, when he was still a fairly young man, was outside of the Star Wars, was Conan the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently watched it. I watched it a couple months back. I had a friend lend me a DVD, and his performance in that is excellent. He's menacing and creepy at the same time. And
Yes. You know what it is, don't you, boy? Shall I tell you? It's the least I can do. Steel isn't strong, boy. Flesh is stronger. Look around you. There, on the rock. That is strength, boy. That is power. The strength and power of flesh. What is steel compared to the hand that wields it?
he's the villain, of course, and he's got that voice, but he hardly has any lines. I mean, I think I can't be certain, but I think Arnold Schwarzenegger had more lines than he did in that movie. Of course, Arnold's the lead, but it's kind of weird. You have a movie with one of the best voice actors of all time, and then
he doesn't have many lines. He doesn't use his voice. Yeah.
But it's a great movie because it has its cheesy moments. I would say the sequels were terrible, but that movie alone, as a John Milius film, was very good and holds up well.
It's fun. I watched a little documentary about him before doing this, and little things that you just never really knew, which was that he had a stutter. He grew up as without a father. He actually says that the story goes that his father came when he was born, held him, and he started to cry. And he said, well, I must have upset him, or he must upset me. And then gave him back to whoever and then left. And that was the extent of his father being around. And then he had a stutter, which he overcame by poetry. He had a teacher that he wrote a poem and recited it. The teacher was like, I don't know that you wrote this poem, if you wrote it, then you should be able to recite it off to me. He recites it off, and he's
Without
like,
a
oh,
stutter.
okay.
Huh.
And the teacher realized that he could do the sing-songy of poetry without stuttering. And so poetry became a huge part of his life. I didn't know this, but many of his stage acting shows were Shakespeare plays. He did many renditions of Othello, and he what was this was really interesting to me, was that when he went to college, he was in pre-med, and he was thinking he was going to the Korean War. And he basically was like, well, in acting school is where all the girls are, and maybe I want to get to know a girl before I get shipped overseas to die. Literally. And
logic.
So he went to acting school, and that's where he got his start in acting.
Yeah, I always thought that he had this British vibe to him, just the way he pronounced things, the way he spoke. He was from Mississippi. He was born, I guess he was born in Mississippi, but he didn't have an accent, like a Southern accent. So I always assumed, until I knew more about him, that he was like a British actor. And because he always had this kind of refined way of speaking, until he came on my radar with, the Darth Vader, and more specifically the Field of Dreams and the Sandlot, which I think came out around about the same time. Field of Dreams I thought his character was one of the best characters in that movie. Of course, Kevin Costner's the lead in that, but plays the character of Terrence Mann, and he's an author. He's like a recluse author that has some like the funniest moments in the movie. Like it's a comedic role that has its serious moments in it. And he's like, I'm
gonna beat you with this crowbar until you go away.
That was one of the better lines. That was a great movie. It was just one of those movies that was always on in our house. Like, it showed a slice of Americana that you don't often see. A farmer and rural America. They were having PTA meetings where they were fighting, and I mean, I've been in some of those PTA meetings where you're fighting about censorship of books and stuff like that. So, I mean, of course, we should mention Mufasa in The Lion King.
Oh my gosh, I grew up watching Lion King, and his voice, him being the good king in that film, it's amazing.
It's a seminal film. It's like one of those films that you go out of my childhood. You and I talk about Beauty and the Beast a lot on here, but The Lion King had as much of an impact, if not, maybe more than Beauty and the Beast. It's not, The Lion King isn't one of my favorite films, but it is a great film. And he just adds so much gravitas to the whole thing just because of his voice. And
Remember who you are. You are my son, and the one true king.
To hear him talk about it, he's like, we wanted him to be a stern but very good king, and also a father. They also wanted to depict him as a good father too. And it's interesting that he plays this great father, and he didn't have one. So that's a very like it goes to show you that you can learn things in your life. You don't always have the role model, but if you choose to be something more than what you were given.
Yeah. Well, he went to college on a scholarship for speech.
Yeah.
So he
He just
had a
rose
stutter,
above, and he had a
and
stutter.
then rose above that and went to college on scholarship for speech.
In one of the interviews that I heard from him, he mentions the stutter was so bad that he just went mute from 8 to like 14. I was
He
like,
just wouldn't
holy
talk.
crap. He just wouldn't talk. That's just talk about a rough life with that.
Talk about not being a victim, because in the interview I was watching, he was talking about how he's like, I don't blame the kids for being mean to me. He's like, I mean, being a stuttering makes you feel a little awkward, and makes me feel awkward. It makes you feel awkward, and they would make fun of me. And he kind of like came at it as, I understand why kids would make fun of me, and zero victim mentality. Just like, it was what it was.
But that's the success of getting beyond it.
Yeah.
Right. So if you've been made fun of, you don't take your frustrations out on your fellow students. You get back at them by being a success. And he was a success. I mean, there's so many tributes and videos to this man that is just out there. And you almost didn't know, like, the testament to a true actor, I think, is that we know nothing about their personal life, because then that enables us to watch them become the characters that they play. I mean, that's my opinion on it. Christian Bale one time said that. He's like, I don't want anybody to know anything about me, because then I don't bring all that baggage to my characters that I play. You know, Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise, and I don't think he'll ever be able to really act out of the Tom Cruise persona, because we know so much about his life. And it's like, the less we know about actors' lives, the better. The less we know about their politics, the better.
Well, he was a very private person.
Yes.
And most people described him as being shy.
Yeah, even though he had one of the most booming voices in Hollywood.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, it seemed like he was a completely different person when he was acting. So on stage or in front of the camera, he would just be a completely different person. And it's interesting to me, and it seems like he was an introvert. And so it's interesting to me that he would play these big, larger than life characters and stuff, when he probably just kind of wanted to keep to himself.
Well, and like I said, that's a testament of a really good actor when they can do that. Another really great performance from him is, and it's a small performance, is in The Sandlot. He plays Mr. Martell. That's such a great a character, because the kids are freaked out by this guy. They are so freaking scared of him because of legend and all this kind of stuff. And he's a recluse. He plays a recluse. And you know, spoilers for The Sandlot. If you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. He's like this jovial, kind, elderly gentleman that's just, you know, in his house, kind of lonely. And it's just a brilliant, to cast him as the actor to play that is just brilliant, because you can understand how kids would be freaked out by the guy, right? Because he's huge. He was a big guy. He had a big booming voice. So it's, of course, kids are gonna make up all sorts of things to, you know, because they're a little freaked out by him. It's just nice to see actors go out this way. Like, we haven't been told, like, I would imagine it was natural causes. He was 93 years old. That's a long life, man. It's more sad to see the stuff that's happened to Bruce Willis, where he's lost his speech because of some form of dementia. That's sadder to me, because he's not continuing to do what he loved doing. With James Earl Jones, he's 93. I think he's got one project still coming out from his filmography. He was still doing it right up until the end, and that's what you want to see with actors. And I think Clint Eastwood is actually the same age, and Clint Eastwood's still making movies. So, I mean,
I could only imagine that they probably had James Earl Jones come in and do like a series of speech things so that they could kind of capture with AI his voice. So
probably,
because I'm pretty sure that as years go on with everything from video games to other possible television shows and things like that, the Darth Vader voice will probably be used.
Yes,
a lot
most
more.
definitely. Probably.
So
I would imagine that his estate probably made some deal with Disney and Lucasfilm to continue using his voice for Darth Vader for, I mean, technically, I guess with AI that they can get it pretty close and probably never have to. I mean, technically, I guess you wouldn't ever have to have an actor again if you got the, rights to his voice or whatever. That would be interesting to find out.
Because like it was always, I mean, that was one of the cool moments in Rogue One.
Yeah.
When he shows up and he has the booming James Earl Jones voice, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Star Wars has fallen so far.
Yeah. And Harrison Ford said he kind of saw him as a little bit of a mentor, which they probably didn't spend much time together at all.
No, no, they had a bunch of scenes together in the Jack Ryan films. Clear and Present Danger, Hunt for Red October. He played He played Admiral Greer in those.
Yep.
And those are great. Like he does an excellent job as this imposing guy who's in charge, and he keeps talking to Harrison Ford's Jack Ryan. And they're based on Tom Clancy's novels.
Yeah.
There was Patriot Games. He's in Patriot Games too. Patriot Games.
For some reason I was thinking Star Wars because they did not get. I mean, he came in to do Star Wars, the first one, and he was there for like 2 hours. They paid him $7,000.
Not bad for 2 hours, right? It's,
I mean,
pretty good.
back then $7,000 was, probably went a long longer ways than here now, but he came and did do more for like Empire Strikes Back. They kept him for like a full day and stuff, even though George Lucas was like, don't overact it.
So I mean, he's been playing that voice for 45 years, somewhere around there. It's been a long time. So he's probably one of the few constants from the very beginning until I think his last performance as Darth Vader was the Obi-Wan show, which is probably sad to say.
Said that was the last.
That was the last because it wasn't good. So
I'm sure they probably have recordings of him in store. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, and let's just say that the Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, and Hunt for Red October, all of those, he's excellent in all of those.
Was he in Hunt for Red October?
Yes, he was.
Really?
Harrison Ford wasn't.
Yeah, okay.
Because remember, there's this scene where you see this torpedo coming at one of the submarines, and it dings on it or something like that. That's because, and you see his finger on a button in the console, like they cut to his finger on a button in the console room. So he deprogrammed the torpedo. Then he holds up his badge. He says, "We were never here," to the tag.
Oh,
do you remember the scene? He's like,
okay.
"We were never here."
300 yards. The torpedo is detonated.
No. You understand, Commander? That torpedo did not self-destruct. You heard it hit the hull, and I was never here. Contact Dallas, give them the go.
I thought that was excellent.
But it's been a long time. It's
been a long
time.
It wouldn't be bad to go revisit some of these movies, but
yeah.
Tell our audience about how the Conan scenes freaked you out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Conan scene, like one of my earliest memories is of James Earl Jones in Conan starting to turn into a snake. Because at the end, he turns into a snake to fight Conan. And they do a good job of just like slowly making him turn into a snake. And it just, as a little kid, that just freaked the crap out of me. I was just like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so that is like, oddly enough, that's like one of my earliest memories is that. So it's just kind of funny.
It was a great career. And from all accounts, he was a pretty good person too. You know, you keep hearing about different celebrities. The more you learn about celebrities, the less you end up liking them, I think. So it's just the way it is.
Yeah, just what a great legacy. I mean, and also to not, like you said, not taint it by getting into the limelight with a bunch of other garbage. Man, you know, it just, social media has how the Hollywood star has fallen so low with social media, because now we get to know these people on such a intimate level, when we probably should have just let them be the star.
Yeah, the larger than life person
that we only see in their movies and in their award ceremonies. Like that, basically it, you know. And to leave that legacy of his body of work, you know, untainted is pretty great. It's pretty great. So, and yeah, rest in peace, and we'll never forget you, because we've got so much to remember you by.
Yeah, amen to that. Check us out on social media, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for The Sword in the Skull. If you're listening to this and not watching it, please go to YouTube and like, share, and subscribe. In the meantime, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, and learn more. We'll see you, brother.
See ya.
I'm going to beat you with a crowbar until you go away.
Whoa, wait, you can't do that.